Hi, my name is Will Harlan. I'm a graduate of Parkway West, class of 1993. But I also attended Claymont Elementary and Parkway West Junior High, and some of my fondest memories were actually back in my younger days. I think I'd start with Mr. Fixman's elementary class. My fifth grade year, he taught us astronomy and got me fascinated with the night sky. I remember vividly being out on the Claymont Elementary blacktop, the playground, for a night sky party and looking up at the stars through a telescope for the first time. He just inspired awe and wonder in me and my classmates, and that reverence for the night sky has stayed with me. One reason we live out on a farm in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains is so I can see the stars at night. It's really important to me and to my family that we can look up and see the universe. It's a powerful experience, and Mr. Fixman was the first one to introduce us to that. And he made just learning fun. He had crayfish in the classroom in big swimming pools that were sources of entertainment and knowledge and mischief. It was just a wonderful experience. Also at Claymont was my PE teacher, Mr. Duke, who, I had so many great educators, so many great teachers, but I think some of my fondest memories are from recess and after-school sports. And Mr. Duke in particular started a Run for Fun club, which I had run a few miles here and there, but I didn't think running could be fun until Mr. Duke led us on runs around the Claymont forest, and it was fun, and it was free, and it was something I'd never experienced before. And a few years later, our sixth grade class went to a week-long camp, and Mr. Duke was there, and he dared me to run with him 7 miles around the lake. 7 miles was farther than I thought ever possible. I was scared, I was nervous, but alongside him, running was easy and light and effortless and fun. And around that lake, I survived. I made it farther than I'd ever run before, and it really changed my life, that run. It gave me confidence and a strength that I didn't know possible. So I really credit Mr. Duke with inspiring me and instilling a courage to push boundaries and discover things that you didn't think possible.
That's fantastic. What inspired you to the Barefoot Farm and your book and things like that in the field that you're in?
Yeah, so I actually ended up becoming a teacher and a writer thanks to my 12th grade English teacher, Mr. Ribbing. He was an incredible inspiration, and two things vividly stick out. The very first day of class, he talked about, he wrote one word on the board, vicarious, and then beneath it he wrote the word direct. And he was a man who loved literature and inspired a love of literature in all of us. And but his point was that literature provides vicarious experiences, ways to step inside the shoes of other people, which is important in understanding how others feel and think and experience the world. But he emphasized that that should never take the place of direct experience, that as many books as you read and as much as you learn from them, they are no substitute for actually living your own life as fully as possible. And that was a lesson that has stuck with me to this day. The other thing he did was assign on the very first day a short story called The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. It's a 10-page story by Ursula Le Guin, and it's about basically utopian society that is full of happiness, but that happiness is built on a dark secret, the suffering of a child that's locked in a closet in a dark room. And that story has haunted me to this day, and it's uncomfortable to think that our American comfort is built on the suffering and misery of others, and is that a bargain that I'm willing to live with? And so one reason we live out on an off-grid organic farm and grow all of our own fruits and vegetables and have dairy goats and harvest our own firewood is, I think, a way for us to, in a small way, for me to walk away from Omelas, or at least step back from it, or depend less on the suffering of others and depend more on myself.
Wonderful. You're obviously very passionate about that. That's really great. You want to talk about your book a little bit?
Sure. So writing, like I said, Doc Ribbing inspired me to have the courage to write. And after college, I ended up teaching and writing, and also there were teachers like Dixie Hoyt who inspired a love of the outdoors and nature. And so I ended up spending a summer on Cumberland Island National Seashore off the coast of Georgia, and was really just looking for a summer to spend out on the beach. But I ended up crossing paths with this amazing woman, Carol Ruckteschel, who eats roadkill and anything that washes ashore, and built her home from driftwood, dragging it plank by plank from the seashore, and lives on this wilderness island and has basically defended this wild place and its sea turtles for over 4 decades. And her story and her life has really touched and inspired me. And after shadowing her for nearly 19 years, I wrote her biography in a book called Untamed, which has been a New York Times bestseller and won several awards. But it's most importantly, it's helped change the direction of this island that she's been helping to protect. And so I feel really proud that I've helped magnify her voice and help protect this island that has meant so much to me. I actually proposed to my wife on Cumberland Island. I wrote, "Will you marry me in the sand?" And so it has obvious personal significance to me, but it's also one of the most beautiful places in the world and one of the most important.
Very good. Well, can you share what the award of being in the Hall of Fame will mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, Parkway is such a special place to me. I've lived down in the South for a long time away from St. Louis, but every time I come back, it still feels like home, and that's rare. I think what means the most is being surrounded by all the teachers that were like parents to me, it's a powerful experience to be surrounded by that community and know that it's still there. I've come back to every reunion, and even my wife is surprised by the close-knit relationships that still remain even after 10, 20 years. Not every high school, not every community has that, and I think Parkway is extra special in creating that. I've met some incredible friends that have stayed with me and stuck with me, and teachers that I still stay in contact with and continue to inspire me. Folks like Cy St. Clair, my Latin teacher, who brought a dead language to life for me, and Miss Linda Jolly, who was like a mom to me. She was the leadership teacher and counselor and student council sponsor, but really she was my mom for my 4 years of high school. I spent a lot of time, late hours at school working with her, and she really knew me probably better than anyone. So seeing all those people again, being surrounded by those people, remind me what's really important. And I think that's what Parkway taught me more than anything is what matters in life. It broadened my perspective and opened my eyes to the wider world.